Training. So you will be certified. With that certification comes with a responsibility. Meaning, if you in the car with your wife, I haven't been out in so long, I worked so hard, taking care of kids, then you got a job, everything else, you got so many bills, and a guy comes walking across the street, and he can laugh. Boom. Reservations at 8:30, babe. Reservations at 8:30. Guess what? You have an obligation to act now. Even if that means pulling 911. So that's where legal duties come into play. There's certain legal duties that we're going to go over with you guys, but I want to go over the Good Samaritan law first. Good Samaritan law states that you will be protected if you act in good faith. Like I said, you see the procedure, you raise it in. If you try it out, you'll be protected by something. But that's only for civilians. Once you guys are certified, you can only act within the scope of practice. Scope of practice. This is practicing. All of this medicine that we are going to learn today is practicing. So the scope of practice says, I train you guys to do a certain amount of things. You can only do those certain amount of things. If you do anything outside that scope of practice, you are legally held liable. You don't understand that?
Yes, sir.
So if I teach you guys CPR today, or not today, but when I teach you guys CPR today, someone has a heart attack, are you supposed to go in there and do open heart surgery? No, that's outside of the scope of practice.
Yeah.
So keep those things in mind. So we have scope of practice that's going to be within the boundaries that I teach you guys today. We have a standard of care. Standard of care. What do you guys think that means? I mean, it's self-explanatory. Standard of care. What do you think standard of care means?
The level of service.
Placing Band-Aids
The
and.
level of service.
The level of service. You said the basics.
Yeah, like basic first aid. Like,
So if we go to our doctor, when we say, hey doc, my knee is hurt. And he goes, that knee? That knee is hurt? I'm looking at him like, yo. He's taking the reflexes. Like, get out of here. And he could be checking the reflexes. We could have been more polite about it. That's what we mean by standard of care. Sometimes we do procedures that's going to hurt the patient. I'm going to start an IV. Or this kid is having an asthma attack, so I need to give him some medicine. I'm going to pull out the needle and just jam it in his arm? No. So there's a standard of care that we have. Like I said, guys, we have to have compassion. So, what's the worst hospital you guys could picture?
The worst hospital?
The worst hospital.
Palisades Medical Center.
Palisades.
No, back in the day, I don't know now.
Do you know? You're a psychiatrist.
Why?
Trinitas.
Why? Hold on. You say Palisades. Why?
Because the length of time it takes you to do anything is an emergency.
Because of the length of time. No, pay attention. Because of the length of time it takes them to do something in the emergency room. I have to correct. When they do it, do they do something wrong?
Many times.
We get negatively affected?
I don't know about that.
Screwed up my lesson.
Every other hospital besides that.
I've been in a hospital a lot. The problem is that it's the length of time that they get to see you, but it's not really their fault because at night you go to ER most of the time. They have
I like him. You ain't nothing no more.
Yeah, but it
My
has to do
point
with the
is, my
triaging
point-
that you're gonna do.
Say again?
Not necessarily because you're waiting in the emergency room, they're neglecting you.
Something
No.
that
It's
they
just
do.
that it's according to the symptoms that you
Oh, I'm
present.
sorry, you know what, he's right too, depending on what you have.
Yes, that
I
triaging,
know.
the triaging
You come in,
aspect.
Yeah.
you know, and you know, I've seen people actually throw themselves in the floor, and then they zoom right away because they think that the guy's dying when the guy's just taking it off.
Because it's all about predictability. Understand, New York Presbyterian Hospital, Cornell, a prestigious hospital. Prestigious, you know why? Oh, you don't feel well? You don't feel well? Okay, no problem. Knowing the doctor is seeing like 40 different patients, and he's not gonna come take care of your kidney stones for another 14 hours. But they make you feel comfortable. Being a first responder, one of the things that I realized is if your uniform looks good, like you won't mess with a car that shine his shoes before he come to work. This guy is serious about his job. You understand? But then you gotta, like, I'm getting off on this. I'm getting away with that. You understand? So a lot of times as first responders, some of the things, or one of the main things that's gonna keep you being one of the best first responders is your courtesy. If I go to church and they pass around the offering bag, put your money in the bag. Give me your tithes and your offering. But if the minister seems sincere, no, you got a point. Maybe I do need to do my life better. Yeah, I do gotta go home and pray. Take all my home. So as a first responder, some of the times, one of the main things that you can possibly do to make you that awesome first responder is your presentation and compassion, being compassionate for the patient. Point is, Cornell gets sued all the time. You know why we don't hear about it? They settle all the time. Why they settle? Because they're compassionate. The nurse said, what? Oh my God, we're gonna fire her. We gotta get her out of here. She had a what attitude? Then you go to Brookdale Hospital and they act like they don't want to be there. And it's a trauma center. They save hundreds, if not thousands of lives each year. But just the way they treat people means everything. And you guys, as first responders, emergency medical responders, keep that in your mind. That just you making them feel comfortable until the ambulance get there could be the difference between everything. All right, so keep that in mind. So when we look at standard of care, we should be looking at what's the normal standard in order for us to take care of this patient. We have morals and then we have ethics. What's the difference between the two?
Say that again.
Morals, you have morals, and then you have ethics.
That's right.
What's the difference between the two?
Two different things.
What's the difference?
One is the ethics is that what you're supposed to do.
Ethic is more professional,
And moral.
Say again?
more professionalism in ethics.
Okay.
Well, morals are to one's own thoughts and perceptions,
It's a lot of-
versus the ethics are more the code of the conduct of how you do things in a society.
Excellent. Excellent. So, if I took something
You go to the bureau.
in here, let's say her bag. I took her bag. You guys would be like, that's morally irresponsible. What are you doing? You're not supposed to steal. If I took her bag and I lived in Iraq, what do you think would happen? We'll probably cut my hand off. You guys think right now that would be insane. Like, I stole her bag, but you don't deserve to lose a hand. All right? So when we look at ethics, though, morals is something that's internal. If I stole her bag because my child was hungry, Morally, I did that in order to feed and hunger. But when we go through ethics, ethics is something that's accepted within that community. So if I steal something and you put my hand on for it, within that community, it's justice. But depending on where you live, is what matters. That goes back to what we was just speaking about with standard of care. How we going to conduct ourselves. All right. Express consent, informed consent. Sounds really
It's a fine line.
similar. What do you think express consent is?
Someone is saying, yes, I give you permission to take care of.
Exactly. From the state.
No, well, I.
What do you mean?
Huh? No.
All right. So express consent is someone telling you that they want to help. What do you think informed consent is?
Based on the situation,
Pretty much,
determine that they need.
pretty much the same. So if I express to you, I want you to help me, or I inform you, I want you to help me, then you have to do your obligation to help me. But what about implied? I'm implying that you want me to help you. What about implied?
That is not clear.
Is that person in their right state of mind?
No.
So you have implied consent.
Oh, okay.
Because they're not thinking correctly. They're not thinking sane.
Mm.
You understand?
Right.
And
Gotta clean
that
up.
is what's gonna help you out in court of law.
Okay.
I saved his life because Mr. Robinson, but his arm over. He's bleeding all over the place. Told him how he wanna die. Swinging his arm crazy, and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
So you have that implied consent.
Call 911.
What are some ways that you could think of that will tell you whether someone is in their right state of mind?
It would be common.
Right?
If a person might say the mind, it's probably common and they can experience the situation.
They can explain the situation. So, for example, if I ask you, is it daytime or nighttime outside?
Daytime.
Daytime. Who's the president?
Biting.
It's not in the right state of mind, man.
Messed us up that bad. Now, if he was 90 years old in a nursing home, maybe he wasn't paying attention.
Right.
But he should know that Joe Biden is current president. All right? So we look at things like that. I hate using color because sometimes people are colorblind. I can't imagine that, thank God. But there's certain things that we should be able to identify. If I look at Isaac and say, Isaac, what is this object right here? That's a chair. He should know that's a chair. But if I say, what's that object? And you like, blue. Daytime and nighttime. What time?
That's not a state of mind.
He's not confident. He doesn't have decisional capacity. So these are the type of things that we look at. When the police approach a situation, they're gonna look at whether this person is confident or not. When you guys as first responders approach a situation, you need to look at whether they are confident or not. We have express consent, we have implied consent, and then we have straight rejection, where the person do not want to be helped or whatever the case may be. Only time that you guys are able to say, I'm not going to help this person, or this person don't need my help, is if they tell you at least 3 questions that everyone should know, and then they're right state of mind, and they tell you they don't want to help. Then you're not supposed to help them. Otherwise, you will be sued. And that's where we get into assault and battery. And you guys do not want to deal with that. Don't want to deal with that, all right? Down syndrome. What consent do you think I could be placed under?
Implied or
Implied. What if I'm 15 and I broke my leg? Implied. What if I'm 15 and I'm pregnant?
15 what?
pregnant?
I'm pregnant.
And pregnant.
Implied?
That's where we get emancipation. So emancipation is where this person is legally responsible for themselves. Probably got from Hong Kong. That kid.
Macaulay Culkin.
He was emancipated because his parents was like literally raping his bank account, taking all his money. If you're financially responsible for yourself, it makes you emancipated. If you're pregnant or have a child, it makes you emancipated. No legal guardian, basically. So if you're married, she's 14, she's married, or he's 14, he's married, it makes him emancipated. So we have a whole list of emancipation that's there. Member of the armed forces, okay, never understand this. Never understood it. But you can be 17 in the military, you won't stuff up. Can't understand it, but whatever, that's my opinion. Alright? So if you're financially independent, a member of the armed forces, you're pregnant or you're married, it makes you it gives you emancipation. So that person will be that's the type of person that can tell you, no, I don't want help, or I do want help, or whatever the case is. They're legally responsible for themselves.
So those like runaways,
So again,
runaway youth, they're considered then,
runaway youth,
yeah.
are they confident?
Yeah.
Are they financially responsible for themselves? See, emancipation is really funny because usually you have to go to court in order to be emancipated. The only people that get become emancipated without court order is usually someone that's pregnant or already have a child. But financially responsible for yourself, usually you have to go to court, prove that, or what's to happen.
Okay.
All right?
In this situation, give me 1 second. In this situation, it's a minor recent member of the armed forces.
Yeah. What about it?
How does that be? How can that be?
So if I join if I join the military, and I'm 17 years old,
Okay.
I'm emancipated.
Oh.
I can make my own decisions.
Okay.
I can pull the trigger, I can kill someone. I should be able to make the decision whether I want to pay this guy $1,500 in rent.
Gotcha.
Right?
And if you're homeless and a minor,
If you're homeless and a minor, you're financially responsible for yourself. However, usually in those situations, you have to go to court in order to emancipate yourself. If your parents are still lingering over your head, even if they're not taking care of you, it sucks to say it, but it really does. Because if we're following like Muslim religion, when a person is shot and they tell us they're Muslim, we're supposed to pick up every single drop of blood with them and take it to the hospital with them. And you know that's not right. All right? Advanced directives. So when we go to the advanced directives, we're speaking about DNRs, DNIs. DNR is do not necessitate. DNI is do not intubate. Only thing you guys really have to worry about is a DNR, do not necessitate. For example, a DNR, anyone here have experience with DNRs? I told you she's from the state. What's up?
My grandmother, she was a DNR.
Your grandmother, how old is your grandmother?
Well, she passed. She was in her 80s.
God bless her soul. She's 80. She's in the 80s, right? I'm 37. I signed a DNR right now. Then I walk outside and I'm run first, and the truck moves me over. And the DNR is right in my pocket. EMTs go through my pockets, looking for ID, and they find the DNR. What do you think the EMTs have to do at that time?
Everything to make you comfortable, pretty much.
Can't do anything. They have to let it be. Usually usually we'll find DNRs with elderly. They're 87 years old. They don't want to be on dialysis. They got butt sores and everything else. And I'm over life. Let me just go. And a little sad, but also pretty beautiful. You made it that far. And they don't want to be resuscitated. They don't want to be on a ventilator. They don't want you pumping their chest or whatever the case may be. If they have a DNR and they present a valid DNR, it has to be signed by a doctor. They do until cease and desist. That's it. Don't do anything more. DNRs only mean do not resuscitate. That's CPR that we're going to be going into shortly. If they're bleeding from their arm, it doesn't mean don't help. If they can't breathe and you need to give them oxygen, give them oxygen. But the moment they stop breathing or their heart stop, you have to stop. You understand with the DNRs? And DNRs come in different forms. All right. Usually, like New York State, it's a pink form. But I'm not sure about New Jersey. In any case, you want to see a DNR, what can you do?
Look up.
YouTube, Google, any one of those things. All right. Any questions about your legal obligations? Good. We go on to the first stuff now. Cardiovascular disease. Meaning, like she said, heart attack. You have a health condition that's called the silent killer. What do you think you guys think that is? Silent killer.
The silent killer.
Say it. Blood pressure. Hypertension. Hypertension is the silent killer. You know why? Because right now, I'm living with hypertension. My blood pressure will be through the roof, and I feel absolutely normal. Absolutely fine. Then eventually, one day, one of these pipes in my brain ends up bursting, and I end up having a stroke. Or something clogs up in my heart can't get fed, and it's called a myocardial infarction or a heart attack. Some of the signs and symptoms of a heart attack without even looking at the first page.
Pain in the
You
arm?
guys already know.
Pain in the arm? Or like, what side?
Okay, so
Chest.
you get pain in the arm, what else?
Chest pain.
Chest pain.
Gray, ashy skin.
What else? Signs of a heart attack. Don't shake your head at me, man. Signs of a heart attack. Yeah, what do you think is going to know the healthcare provider if they're having a heart attack?
Get pain or,
That's the number one thing. What else?
get pale or discolored?
Maybe, not usually. Say again? That's stroke.
You get pale or discolored,
You might get discolored, you might start sweating,
yeah.
or what's it have you? All the signs and symptoms are there. One of the craziest things that people do not understand is a lot of times you can have a heart attack. It does not kill you.
Right.
It does not result in you going into cardiac arrest. When a patient goes into cardiac arrest, usually it's because of a heart arrhythmia. For example, if I'm driving a car and I press on the gas, I expect the car
Go faster.
to go faster. If I press on the gas and the car goes, usually that means my engine is about to
die.
fail.
To fail, yeah.
That's usually what happens with the heart. In a heart attack, when I press on the gas for the car, I expect the car to go from 0 to 60 smoothly. In a heart attack, it goes faster, but it just takes longer. But it usually does not fail. If it's a massive heart attack, as soon as you press on the gas, it's coming. So if they have a massive heart attack, they're dead before they hit the door. But usually a heart attack, it takes a little while, and they go on progressively.